Okay. Alrighty then. 2 o'clock here. So time to go live. I have this scheduled for 2 hours, but it will depend on how many people are here and how many questions we get. I have to leave here in a little over 2 hours to go to a meeting. So at most it will be 2 hours today. Let me check my email. Kathleen should be filing either today or Monday. So checking my email to see if I have anything on that. As soon as we get that, we'll post it. Trying to bring up my Stephen Avery email. Hello, Kimberly. All right. Nothing new. So, and it's 2 o'clock our time. And so, and they're only open till what, 4 o'clock? So that only gives 2 hours left today. Look at me doing math. So let me go into the court page and see if there's anything new there on it. No, the latest thing on there is the 227, the order of the Court of Appeals. So there's nothing new. And I know people are going to ask me that a million times. There's nothing new. It's just people were asking to do a live. So I came on today with, hoping something would be out today. If it was, great. If not, if it's coming out, but because I believe Monday's the deadline, right? So, because 2/27 is the date of the Court of Appeals. And then it also says 2/25 on there, and she had 14 days. Where can I see the court stuff? Let me copy and paste that over here. Hopefully that gives you a clickable link, Olivia. But it's just on the wisconsincourts.gov. So it's wcca.wicourts.gov. And then if you go to that page, you're going to have to look up Stephen specific. But the link that hopefully was clickable here, let me scroll down. Oh, and there it is. So is clickable. That should go directly to Stephen. So I recommend people bookmark that, and you can refer to it, go to it a million times a day. And I should have my glasses on. And if you see a listing before we have it, please submit it, and we'll get it posted. But I should actually email the court and ask for it as soon as it comes out. But the last one, they sent it to me without me even knowing. So where is she? There she is. Oh, I'll email it later. So let's see. So what we're waiting for is, we went over before that the court has agreed with that Kathleen should be able to submit the bones bullshit. So now it goes back to Judge Flowers, who don't get all mad and upset if she denies it. You expect her to deny it. Kathleen says over and over how that you don't win on the state level. You have to go higher. So if Judge Flowers denies it. It's not like, oh, it's over, and but at least she's getting these bones in there, because this is a big deal that they gave these bones to the Halbach family on so many different levels. So will they drop it at the end of today? Because I know before, a lot of times things like to do that Friday afternoon drop when everything's closing. So there's still the chance we'll see it in the next 2 hours. If not, we should be seeing it on Monday. And if it does come out on Monday, then I'll go live like usual. I will go live first on Stephen Avery Project and read the filing through, and we'll discuss, what's in there. What do we see? What this filing's supposed to be is anything else she wants to submit showing that Stephen's rights have been violated and he wasn't given a fair trial. So, and, she's been tweeting about that and torturing Sweaty Sweat as per usual. Courtney says, on what grounds would they be able to deny? I have no idea. They always seem to come up with something where, everybody with a brain can see that this stuff is all wrong, but they deny it every time. So that's where Stephen's case is currently. Well, so there should be something huge happening in the next few days. And then after Kathleen files that, the court, Judge Flowers, has 30 days to respond to that. That doesn't mean there's a court hearing, nothing. It's just her ruling on it. Will there be an evidentiary hearing? I don't know what this could all mean. Could it be completely thrown out and Stephen get bail or bond? Is it bail or bond at this point? I don't know. And be out while they're waiting if the state's going to decide to charge him again or, go at him again. Ashley, yes, this is live. It is 2:08 p.m. currently. And Anne says, hi, great to catch a live from here in Ireland. Well, thank you for joining us today. What else? Other cases. Melissa Kaluzinski, that's another one of Kathleen's cases that I advocate for. She has to file for Melissa on March 27th. So we'll be hearing on that by the end of the month. Her dad's always got things cooking because he won't rest until his daughter is free. So Paul has done some things that I won't go public with, but hopefully we'll be able to put that stuff out soon. I'm also talking with Paul that we're going to organize our own wrongfully accused forum, where we'll have a panel of people who have been freed and people whose family are currently incarcerated, lawyers, doctors, things like that. So, but that's in the baby stages. I just know I have a location. I haven't scheduled a date or anything for that yet. So we're working on that. I'm going to be taking on another case, which is the Marnie Yang case. That's another local case here in Illinois. It is not Kathleen Zellner's case, so this will be the first case that I'm working on that's not affiliated with Kathleen. So Marnie Yang has been in prison for 10 years, I think, too. And she is in there for allegedly killing Sean Gale's pregnant girlfriend. Sean Gale is big time famous here in Illinois because he was a Chicago Bear. He was on the 85 Super Bowl Shuffle Chicago Bear team. So he's a big deal. When you Google Marnie Yang, so that's Marni and then the last name Yang, Yang, all the evidence you find on there says that girl is totally guilty. But now in meetings that I've had, I was told what the evidence is that refutes that. So, and then her dad would like me to start going to visit Marnie in prison. So I had to submit my information last week to go through the process to get approved to be on her visitors list. And Kent Pellegrini, that's another of Kathleen's cases. And I visited him and Melissa 2 weeks ago now, right? I think 2 weeks ago or last week, I can't remember. So Kent's another one that if you Google his name, you don't really find anything on Kent's case at all, because, you know, Kent's case isn't one that people give attention to because he's in prison for raping his wife. You know, so it's one of those that people don't seem to care about because it's not some salacious murder. But he is another one of Kathleen Zellner's clients, and Kathleen has filed, the state has filed in his appeal process, and we're waiting for to hear from the court on that. But Kent was really positive and happy with the most recent filings because the state is not refuting his experts, you know, because his wife was blackout drunk during this incident, and she was a known alcoholic, a known blackout drunk. And in his original trial, they wouldn't talk about her being drunk or her blood alcohol content level and all that. So now the state's not going after Kent's experts. So Kent's feeling pretty good on that. Let me scroll. Courtney says, I'm 100% sure you've said it before, but where can I find more information on the Melissa case? I've heard you talk about it, but I don't know much about it. Let me pull up Melissa's Facebook, which is Official Justice for Melissa Kaluzinski Family Page is the group. It is run by Melissa's Aunt Helen. They stuck me on as a moderator there to just help out when needed, but that's Helen's show. So like, I don't approve new members or anything like that. Helen finds everything. So scour this, the Melissa Kaluzinski group, go in the files and go in the videos. She'll also have the links in there because Melissa's case was covered twice by 48 Hours by Erin Moriarty. So you can just go to YouTube also and just search. They're called, the first one's called Blaming Melissa. And then the update one is The Fight for Melissa. And Kathleen Zellner is in those talking about the case. So go to Helen's group for Melissa and watch those 48 Hours episodes. And that's where you can find out everything about Melissa. And Melissa is a sweet, sweet girl. And she's like Brendan. There's no way Melissa or Brendan could do what they're accused of doing. And they were both questioned forever. Now, Melissa was an adult when she's being questioned because she was 21 or 22, but she has the low IQ. So that's why also I know we fight for the juvenile interrogation protection law, but really it should apply to everyone. And because it doesn't matter your IQ level, they're trained to trick you and how to break you down. So nobody should talk to police for any reason without a lawyer present. So Melissa and Brendan both, no way either one of them did that. Allison says, can't wait to watch Sweaty's arse rip a new hole when he loses. Yeah, isn't he so creepy? And he continues to try and taunt Kathleen, and it's like, you're no match for her, dude. Mr. Sexter. So something, if I have time this weekend, I have not looked into all the stuff with whatever that dude's name is that killed his pregnant wife and their 2 daughters. And I know that's been a hot discussion here in Gossip. So maybe eventually I'll watch that and, but as of right now, I have no opinion on that case other than he's guilty and a piece of shit from what I've seen. But like I said, I haven't paid that much attention to it, so I can't really speak on that at all. And then we'll have some new documentaries are coming up soon on Netflix, right? There's the Madeleine McCann case, right? That one's going to be coming up. So I followed that once upon a time, back when it started, but I don't remember a lot about it. So I'll be interested in seeing that case because I know I've always thought that the parents did something. Chris Watts, there you go. Yeah. So and isn't he in Wisconsin too? So yeah, eventually I'll catch up on that, but I've got stuff I have to do this weekend. I'm just checking these people over here that are trying to get into Gossip to approve them. So if I have downtime this weekend, I'll start playing that. Is it a confession or interview or whatever? I know the moderators here because we've got a moderator message, where all the moderators of Stephen Avery Project can talk about what's going on. I know they've been talking about it a lot, but I haven't really read any of it because I don't know anything on the case to throw in my 2 cents. Nandi says, of course, new documentaries would be coming out on Netflix when we decided to switch over to Amazon Prime, LOL. Yeah. I'm a bad person. My Netflix is my son's. He gave me his login and his password. And it's my own Amazon Prime, so I have them both. Rita says, same prison as Stephen, I think. Oh, yeah, I think I recall hearing that. He confessed in an interview. Joyce says, different prison, but same town. Really? There are 2 prisons in the same town? Jeez. Anybody watch 60 Days In? Talking of, well, that's not a prison, that's jail. But holy smokes. I know Heidi messaged me about it yesterday because, was it yesterday when the season finale was on? That's crazy. And that show scares the shit out of me that, oh my God, who would want to, and that's just jail. That's when you're waiting to find out if you're going to prison or not. And of course, since our system is so horrible, you could be there forever. Scary place. Ellison says, parents of Maddie are to blame. Who leaves kids alone while they eat food? Here in UK, we believe they are guilty of something. Yeah, right. They left her in a hotel room and went to dinner, right? Something like that. Yeah, I just remember something wasn't right with the parents, but I don't know if we're going to fight here. But I also think JonBenét Ramsey's parents are in on that. I think her brother did it and they helped cover it up. Dondi says, we are using my son's Student Prime account. Otherwise, I think we would still have Netflix. Hello, Deborah. Lynn loves 60 Days In, and so does Gwen. Yeah, can you believe that cop that went undercover and blew it for everyone? Jeez. That's scary and dangerous. And also, I did not approve of Abner's behavior while he was in there, that he resorted to violence with people and he didn't have to. So, Rita, do you have an opinion on the Michael Jackson documentary? Ooh, you want to get me in all kinds of trouble now, don't you? I believe Michael Jackson is guilty. And I believe his accusers. I found them to be extremely credible. They've been saying this for a long time. I do not look at it as a money grab like people claim. Michael Jackson is loved worldwide, and to say those things really put you at risk, so who would want to come forward and do that unless it was true? It's really hard to put yourself out there, even, and I'm not trying to be a douchebag by comparing myself, but I'm being a douchebag and comparing myself. But my stance with all the Stephen Avery stuff and how, his family hates me. And so that in turn gets a lot of the family fans to hate me, and a lot of stuff been thrown my way. And why do it? I'm not making any money. I'm not getting I know I get accused of fortune and fame. Well, I've been here 3 years. Where's my fortune and fame? So it's tough to stick yourself out there like that. And I'm just, it's just a minuscule thing of what those two guys have to go through by saying this about Michael Jackson. And they didn't just come out and do this after he died. Things had been said while he was living too. So I believe them. And then I watched the documentary, and then did you watch the Oprah thing that was on after it? And the Oprah thing got me in a completely different way. Still believing in the guys, but here I am being a douchebag again, comparing stuff to myself. I was molested by a family member when I was a child, and I covered it up, didn't say anything. And watching that Oprah show, it made me realize too that I don't even know what really happened to me. I've always kind of just said, oh, I was molested. I wasn't raped. So maybe that's why I don't take it as hard. But in reality, all I remember is being naked in bed with my cousin, and then his older sister walking in and saying, we had to do whatever she said or she would tell. And I was like 10. And the male cousin that molested me ended up being gay, and he was only like 13, 14 at that time. So I've just always been able to excuse it as him just being a confused boy, and didn't have this hatred and all this stuff. But then watching that Oprah thing, I was like, I don't even really know what happened to me. And, that I haven't explored that. And so I can kind of then see about the same, like with these guys who didn't say anything, because that cousin too, the family cut him off at one point because he became a big drug abuser. And I was the only one in the family that would talk to him. So like he was in prison, and he would call me and write to me from prison, and nobody else in the family would talk to him. But his mother, my aunt, when I finally told family members that this had happened, while being an adult, his mother said, I wanted it. And I was a willing party to defend her son, because she also would always deny that her son was gay. She would not believe that her boy would be gay. So it made me relate to them, and I wasn't expecting to, because it's not the same thing, but I don't know. So I believe them. And I believe that Michael Jackson was a sick person due to the abuse he dealt with his entire life by his father, by their bizarre religious upbringing, the drugs his father would put him on to make sure he would keep a boy sounding voice for as long as he could. So he was just a messed up guy. Doesn't excuse what he did. But so, yeah, I believe his accusers. And I'm going to scroll now and see how many of you are going to tell me that I was wrong. Leanne says, yep, I'm with you on that with Michael Jackson. I totally believe he was guilty of it. Gwen says, just watching part 2 now. And Amanda says, hi, Jax. Hi, Amanda. Gwen says, how a mother let a 7-year-old sleep with a 30-year-old is beyond me. Well, and you see from when you watch the Oprah thing afterwards, they still don't really talk to their mothers. They blame the mothers for not protecting them. And at one point I was like, oh, I think that might be a little harsh. But then again, it's not. I do think these parents got starstruck and were happy to just look the other way because they're living this, extravagant lifestyle now. Look at Wade Robson's, since they were Australia, and that woman left her husband and left one of her kids, and yay, let's go do this, and I know there's plenty of different momagers, stage moms, that are going to pick up and come to the States because they think their child is, has a shot at show business or whatever. But not all of them are going to let a adult have sleepovers with their kid. So, yeah, those mothers are to blame. Because I know there's no way I would let my son stay with anybody. I didn't even, when my son was little, I went nowhere. So I didn't even have like my mother watch him. I stayed home, because that's what you do. When I had my son, I quit my job to be full-time mother. That was my job. So, no, you're not sleeping at some family friend or some music star's house. That's just weird. Courtney says, you might have already been asked, but how about that R. Kelly? That's another local case here. R. Kelly in Chicago. So I'm an activist, so there's always a lot of things to protest R. Kelly. I haven't gone to one yet because it's always conflicted with things. R. Kelly is guilty, guilty, guilty. Oh, it's bad. And since I'm an activist here, I am a champion of human rights, all rights, for all different races and sexual orientations and everything. And I do understand, here in Chicago, there's a whole lot of race relations things. And so we have the R. Kelly case going on right now, and Jussie Smollett from Empire, who said, he was attacked and all that. And so I do know that some of my Black friends here, and that's not me being a douchebag going, I can't be racist, I have Black friends, just some of my Black friends here are upset because why is all this attention being put on what Michael Jackson did and Jussie Smollett and R. Kelly, and nobody talks about, Ted Nugent, Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley started banging Priscilla when she was 14. So Roman Polanski, Woody Allen, so they're right. They're, because those people are all guilty too, and nobody did anything about it. No, I personally won't I won't have anything to do with a Roman Polanski or Woody Allen movie, but that's me. So I can see why they'd be upset by it, but they also know those people are all guilty too. They just don't like the double standard that Black celebrities are really getting held to the fire for this stuff. Deborah says, I'm on the fence with the MJ thing. Corey Feldman doesn't think he's guilty, and he spent a lot of time with him. Deborah, but I did just see an article, an interview with Corey Feldman, and he says after watching Finding Neverland, he will never defend Michael Jackson again. Now, I didn't read the article, so I don't know what's all in there. But Corey Feldman says he won't defend him anymore. Rita says, so many people don't understand the grooming, right? Yeah. Because, I mean, think about Abducted in Plain Sight, too. How that was grooming of those two parents where they both had sex with the guy. Brittany says, your hair looks nice. Oh, thank you. I actually blow dried it because I have to go to a meeting after here. So I'm actually leaving the house. So I'm like, all right, I'll blow dry my hair. So thank you. Hi, Marguerite in Ireland. Jennifer says, money and fame talks. Absolutely. Deborah says, it's not harsh Hollywood producer parties. The parents didn't care as long as their kids got famous, right? Well, that's also, I believe, in the Roman Polanski case, too, that Roman Polanski's absolutely wrong with what he did with that young girl, but the mother was right there, okay with it, getting high. So, yeah. Hello, Trish, and thank you for being here. Kitty says, I don't think MJ's dad sexually, physically, and mentally abused the whole family. And MJ, I totally think, oh, did I say I don't think? Abused the whole family, and MJ is a result of it. I deep down feel MJ is guilty, unfortunately. Yeah, well, and it was... Michael got the brunt of it because he was a superstar. And what was that quote? Was it that, did Oprah say it on her thing of the, it's hard, what was it? It's hard to look at the sun when it shines so bright or something like that. What is that quote? Somebody tell me what that quote is. So since Michael was the big cash cow, he was really abused by his dad. Kevin Spacey, says Rita. Kevin Spacey kills me because he's in some of these great movies that now I can't. It's like it tainted the movies because I do believe Kevin Spacey is guilty as well. You know, The Ref. Has anybody seen The Ref? Oh my God, I love that movie. Kevin Spacey and Kaiser Soze. Deborah says they are right about Elvis. Yep, and Joyce, Jerry Lee Lewis. And Jerry Lee Lewis, it was a cousin too. Denise laughing at me saying banging. Hi, Sand. Kitty says, when people have been abused, they block out the trauma, sometimes so deep they don't remember it. Yeah, and that's what I was thinking, you know, not to be weird about me, but I'm like, God, yeah, I don't know what was done to me. Maybe nothing. I just remember being naked in bed with him, and he was like wanting to look and touch my body, which I've always just been able to say, well, he was young too, a teenager and gay, but didn't understand what that was. Not that, what would my 10-year-old body do, but I don't know. Monica, what was the outcome of the trespassing ticket? I was off Facebook for a couple of weeks. So I have a pretrial date next week that they said that I do not have to go to, that I can just call in, which kind of weirds me out. So I called the district attorney today and said, would they please put it in writing that I do not have to attend, that I can only just call in, because I do not want that to be used against me. And they said, oh, no, it won't be used against me. And so just call in on the date and the time. So when I did go to the original date, because all I did is go to traffic court, because it's a ticket. It's a nothing thing. I'm not going to go to jail for it or anything like that. It's just, trying to get money out of me. And the ticket's like $220 or something like that. So, and it's a 3-hour drive for me. So I guess I'll test it out and see what happens. Since it's just this ticket thing, they will not appoint a lawyer for me, that I would have to pay and get a lawyer. And I'm in Illinois, so I have friends who are lawyers, but they're not licensed in Wisconsin. So, and I will actually be working for the ACLU the day of my court date. So I will be calling them while I'm at the ACLU surrounded by lawyers. So that should be interesting. But I did give them all my evidence that proves that I was at home at the date and time in question. Joyce says, it's all true. This stuff has been going on for decades, especially in Hollywood, etc. It's just now coming to light. Everybody knew about it, but nobody did anything. Time to stop that. Correct. I agree. Maddie's mom says, when you get a spare moment, you have to check out the Sue Neal Frazier story. Completely innocent lady in jail for killing her husband with overwhelming evidence and forensic evidence and witnesses to confirm she didn't, and a corrupt government and police department in Tasmania, Australia. Show is called Undercurrent. It is fascinating. Well, if you can, post it in Gossip, the link for it, and then everybody can look at it and discuss. Aaron, the Michael Jackson documentary was on HBO. So if you have HBO, you can watch it on demand. I don't know if it's anywhere on YouTube that you can find it. Deborah says, I feel for Michael's kids. They are the ones who pay for it now. It should have been dealt with while he was alive. Yeah, I feel really bad for his kids, and they have issues too. So they're all messed up. I hope those kids are able to live a good life, and that they're getting help, because wow, that's a lot to bear. I know his daughter, I saw something that she came out defending him, and of course she is. I completely understand that. Lynn says that one show, One Day at a Time, the girl who was abused by her dad. I don't know that one. Is that a documentary or that's a show? Because I know there's a show called One Day at a Time, and that's on Netflix or something. And is that like, it's got like Rita Moreno or something on there? And then, of course, I always just think of the one from the 70s from when I was growing up, One Day at a Time. Katie's asking, what are we discussing? It's a miscellaneous day. Since we don't have anything new to discuss on Stephen's case until Kathleen files, either today or Monday. So we've just been skipping around different cases and answering whatever questions there are. So, let's see, scrolling. Sydney missed about 30 minutes of this. Oh yeah, okay. Mackenzie Phillips from the One Day at a Time from the 70s. Yeah, that so her dad was famous singer from Mamas and the Papas, and introduced Mackenzie into the world of drugs, and Mackenzie claimed she even would have sex with her father. Oh, yeah, so that's another sordid tale. Anne says, I followed the McCann's case very closely, and I firmly believe the parents are innocent. Of course, they are guilty of leaving the children alone in that room. but innocent of what happened after. It is another case of a corrupt police force, Portugal, who really messed up that investigation and then tried to blame it on the parents as an easy way out. Interesting. Okay, yeah. Well, we'll see what happens when the Netflix documentary comes out. Monica asked about the ticket. I just answered that, so hopefully you heard that. San says, what's the deal with Lisa Marie and Michael? I don't know. How weird was that? And when they did the, public kiss, oh, that's like the equivalent of seeing Sweaty Sweat kiss his daughter. Really creepy and gross. Who wants to look at that? It should be censored. It just was odd. But I think Lisa Marie is really screwed up too. And she's been married how many times? And hasn't she had drug issues? And she's had a bunch of different kids. And didn't she lose custody from some of the kids during drugs or whatever? I don't know. So I don't know if she was just his beard. I don't know if it was something about music publishing, because now remember, that's where the money is in music. You have to own your publishing rights, so that's back to R. Kelly. That's why R. Kelly is broke, because he's got all these huge hits, but he doesn't own them because he was tricked into selling the publishing rights. Selling or giving them away or whatever, because I guess he's like illiterate or something like that, or maybe that's the excuse for why he doesn't have his publishing rights. So, but like Lisa Marie also married Nicolas Cage, and for Nicolas Cage, she was just a collector item to him because he worships Elvis. So that was another weird relationship. Yeah, Rita says marriage was for show. But I do remember, that scene too, when they kissed. I thought Lisa Marie looked so beautiful. The old fashioned hairdo she had on, or was wearing it for that. She was really pretty. And I was like, this is, yeah. I didn't know then that she had her own issues. And hello, Tammy. So I am down at the bottom here. And since we don't have many people on asking questions, then I'm only going to stay on until 3 p.m. So roughly 15 more minutes. So if you got any questions for me, let me know. And I'll be talking eventually on, I mentioned this in a recent live, that an organization has asked me to come on board with them to help other cases of wrongfully accused, which the Marnie Yang case is one of those. And so I'll be able to, talk about that stuff as it happens, but that's still in the works. Katie says, do you know about that case where the mother made her daughter pretend she was disabled and had learning difficulties, but she ended up killing her man? Isn't there a film or documentary coming out on it soon? I don't know that one. That sounds like several different cases, all in one that I've heard. So I'm sure I'm just confusing those. Man, there's so many documentaries. Not a documentary. I'll tell you what I've been binging like the last 2 weeks. Friend of mine told me, due to, the whole wrongfully accused stuff, that I should really watch the show How to Get Away with Murder, which I had never watched. So they're on Netflix. I finally finished it yesterday. Or 4 seasons of it that I finished that were on Netflix yesterday. The 5th season just aired. It's like, it's an ABC TV show, a Shonda Rhimes show. And so now I'm very upset because I went today to just then look at my Comcast on demand for How to Get Away with Murder for the current 5th season. And the only episodes you can get are like 11 through 15. So you can't get the first episode. So I guess I have to wait until Netflix gets it. I highly recommend it. It was good. I really like it. Now he tells me I should watch Scandal too. But he said that How to Get Away with Murder is way better. That it, because his opinion is that the first and second season of Scandal were good, and then the third and fourth were like blah, whereas How to Get Away with Murder is excellent every season. So if you've never watched How to Get Away with Murder and you're looking for something to binge watch that, you know, it's not a true story, but you'll understand some of the stuff now from following all these cases. So superb acting, great writing. Every character is a good character, whether you like them or hate them. So I recommend it. Deborah says, everyone, though Lindy Chamberlain in the case of the dingo was guilty because she left her kids in the tent. Oh my God, a dingo ate my baby. I haven't thought of that in forever. Gypsy Rose. I don't know about Gypsy Rose. I know the name, but I don't know that case. David says, if all goes well and in Stephen's favor, do you think he would be out and home? Yeah. I think if all goes well, Stephen, I would think Stephen will be home at some point this year, but not soon. But I would think he would be out by the end of the year. San says it was on 2020. Tammy asks, any new updates on Stephen? Nope. No updates on Stephen. We're waiting for Kathleen to file. She should file either today or Monday. And with it being almost 3 p.m. here, that leaves only about an hour left. Jennifer says they had a documentary on HBO about Gypsy Rose. And Tiffany says Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Hulu is about to have a doc. All right. Leanne says, do you know anything about the 10-year-old being charged as an adult for killing a baby? I came across it yesterday. No, I think I saw a headline on that, but I haven't looked into it. Joyce also thinks this year. Kimberly says, when Stephen gets out, ask him to do a live with you. Well, currently Stephen doesn't like me, so that ain't gonna happen. His lovely niece Carla and Carla's minions have convinced him that I'm stealing money from him. So he's mad at me. I haven't heard from Stephen since October. So I'm assuming, because the last thing Carla had said to me is, I'm telling Stephen. And so I haven't heard from him since. So I don't think Stephen will do a live with me. But if he wanted to, I would welcome it. I don't blame him. The whole time I was talking to Stephen, he talks to people like the person he told me that actually talks the most shit about me to him is Tracy Strunzi, basically a lawyer bitch. That girl really has it in for me and worked Stephen hard forever, telling him that I'm so horrible. And he didn't listen for the longest time, but now apparently he is. And I think it's funny because if you ever follow any of her shit, all she does is talk shit about Kathleen and thinks that she knows better than Kathleen about the law when she's not a lawyer. She just pretends to be. Oh, I took some classes. That means I'm a lawyer. So Stephen is surrounded by people who are fangirls and everything's a competition. Just like, Stephen Avery Project is the oldest, the longest running Making a Murderer Facebook page. All these other pages have popped up well after, but then everybody wants to be, I'm the official and I'm the official. So even like Sandra Greenman, she and I were friendly, but she surrounds herself with minions And so she now joined this other group that then they call themselves The Official. But all these people want to be the one that Stephen loves best. Stephen would talk shit about all of them to me. He would tell me stuff about Sandy. He tells me stuff about Carla, Tracy, all of them. And I've told him I don't care what any of those people think of me. He has my information. If he ever wants to reach out to me, he can. If he doesn't want to, don't. It doesn't matter to me. I'm an advocate. Stephen is innocent. That's what I'm here for. Not to be his best friend, not to try and date him. None of that shit. They can all have that. I could care less. Deborah says, the case with the 10-year-old is so sad. Rita says, Proven Innocent is a new show on Fox about wrongful convictions and confessions. Real good. Check it out. I toyed with whether or not I was going to watch it because I really don't like Kelsey Grammer. So that was a turnoff to me. But then I've heard good things on it. So it is on my brain of at some point I got to check that show out. And I'll just ignore that I hate Kelsey Grammer. Tammy says they aren't going to charge the 10-year-old. Sand says, I think they said that the 10-year-old could not be held responsible. David says, how amazing would it be when Stephen gets out and he does a world tour to talk about his story? He would make millions. Well, here's the thing on that, David. He can't. If he is going to file a wrongful conviction lawsuit, he can't go and say anything to anyone because it would compromise his wrongful conviction suit. So he has to stay quiet. Whether or not he will, you don't know. But he can't do that. He can't do a book. He can't go do talk shows. He can't do any of that. He has to shut his mouth. So I guess it's all going to depend on what happens in freeing him, on what he can do. Eventually he'll be able to, but it would be a long time coming. So chances are he'd live in an ice shanty again. Or one of the many minions will let him come stay with them. Julie says, are you able to share any new info with Melissa? Last live, you weren't able to comment. Does that still stand? Yeah, Julie, it does still stand. Melissa's dad is always working on things. And so when I can tell you that stuff, I will. And eventually I'm going to do a Facebook Live with Paul. It's just schedules never come together that we can. I'm going to start visiting Melissa more often. I told her maybe I would start going every other week. And I actually have an appointment. I haven't been tattooed in forever. And so I have an appointment next month for a tattoo for something else. And I had told Melissa forever ago because Melissa's an artist. She's wonderful. And she really loves butterflies. So we've even made, a butterfly is like her symbol. And so I told her because my arms, if you've ever looked at the tattoos on my arms, I'm all flowers and butterflies and bugs and all this stuff. But I've got this space open right here, So I told her if she draws me a butterfly, I'll tattoo it. And so now I just told her the other day after I made the tattoo appointment, I said, I'm going in April tattoo. So if you get me that butterfly, I'll get it tattooed on me. So she says she'll work on it. So stay tuned for that. Joy says, it doesn't matter though, drama. He just needs to get out and go on with his life. Yep. Jill says there's a show on Netflix about false confessions. Yeah, there's a whole bunch, and I do that at times too, is I'll just, go through and start watching them all. And then I lose track of which one was which and which one have I watched and which one haven't I. Tammy says, I like your show the best. It's The Realist. Well, thank you, Tammy. Leanne says, nice tats. And then Jill says, I'm old. I'm old too. I'm 47. I'll be 48 this year. I'm no spring chicken. Oh, my body sure tells me I'm no spring chicken. But yeah, I'm 47 going on 48 and still getting tattoos. But I don't think I've been tattooed in like a year. So, and I'm doing an event in Chicago, May 7th, I think. Yeah, I think it's May 7th. In my activist world, somebody asked me if I would be on a panel at an event that they're doing at a club in Chicago. And I did an event with her in Milwaukee, Wisconsin over the summer. And I had said to her, if I did an event with her in Chicago, I would tattoo the logo of her organization on me. And so now when I told a friend of mine, she's moderator of my activist group, when I told her that I was asked to do this event, and she says, now you have to get that tattoo. And I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot about it. So I made the appointment for the tattoo, and my moderator is actually going to come with me. She wants to get the matching tattoo. So we're both going to get it. San says, where did you get that sign in the background? From the Avery Salvage Yard. It's the actual sign that was hanging up at the salvage yard that says, no trespassing, private drive and property, signed Chuck Avery. And once upon a time when I was good with the family, my boyfriend owns a print shop and he hated seeing this handmade sign. Jeff's all about, professional work. And so Jeff made them a real sign that matched their big sign that's on 147 and Avery Drive. So, and then Jeff said, I told Jeff to say it because I wanted it. So we have the old one. So you can see, I've posted that video before in here and on Stephen Avery Project. I took video of when my boyfriend gave it to Chuck. So you can see because we wrapped the new signs, because Jeff made him two signs. Jeff made him two signs and made him and Earl new business cards for Salvage Yard. So that video is in our video somewhere of when we gave the new sign to Chuck. And then there's also video of when Chuck and Jeff then went to take this sign down and put the new sign up. So, and I put it there because now actually she's not here asking about Window Jesus, but people complain all the time about it being too bright in my background. So I closed my blinds but I didn't end that one window because the Window Jesus is up there that she always talks about. But see, you can't even, so I'm keeping that window, but you could kind of see him when I put, flash of the Window Jesus. So, it's 63 degrees there. It's 40 here. Julie says, I think Stephen may head up to Crivets and live up there away from the evil. Well, that's where his dad is. His dad spends most of his time, 63 age. I'm seeing now, not degrees. See, that's because I go on talking and I forget what I had talked about earlier. Stephen's dad, Alan, spends most of his time up in Crivets. Now I know Carla, because Carla and her minions watch all these videos in here because they have their fake people in here that come and watch because, they're mean girls and they're obsessed with me. I'm not saying that Alan's never with Dolores, but he spends most of his time in Crivets, and she spends most of her time in Two Rivers. So I think Stephen would prefer to be up in Crivets and be in the woods and fish and garden with his dad. And if he was there, then his mom would be there. Paula says, haha, you're not old. I will be 67 this September. BJ, haven't seen you in a while. Asking, how have I been? Are we talking about Making a Murderer? And what do you think about Reality Winner? BJ, for the people that don't know, made the cover picture that's up on Gossip. That it currently says Gossip Project, even though we went back to MAM Gossip. But that's BJ's handiwork at the top of the page there. You know, awesome work there. Reality Winner, that I know that name, but don't remember what Reality Winner did. And how have I been? Busy and crazy as usual. And then BJ also says, when is the next event for Stephen and Brendan? I will definitely be coming. Well, Brendan, there's nothing. You know, Stephen will know in about a month if maybe he's going to get a hearing or a trial or something like that. So that will be next. Sand says, nice guy that Jeff. He's okay. And Kimberly says, you and Jeff are a great team. Well, poor Jeff. You know, Jeff gets really angry because he does all this printing, has done all this printing forever for all this stuff, out of the goodness of his heart. And then there's times that he gets dragged into it. Like Carla's minions were posting about his print shop and then giving his print shop bad Yelp reviews and all this stuff. I mean, they're really crazy. Julie says, excuse me, not MAM related, but just have to share a secret. My daughter is closing on her very first home in April. She hasn't told anyone, so I'm sworn to secrecy except here. Well, congratulations to your daughter. That is, yeah, it's a big deal. I remember when I bought my first house. That's exciting. Good for her. And hello, Heidi. Heidi, you're late. I already talked about 60 days in. Deborah says, stay on here all day, Jax. I have to stay inside today. The smoke from bushfires is bad. Oh, that sucks. But yeah, no, actually, I won't be on very much longer, Deborah. I've got a meeting I have to go to tonight that in my political world. So I have that tonight. But it's not it's the team of people that I work with politically in my county that we just won our election last week. Woo woo! Good triumphed over evil. And so now we're meeting to discuss what we want to do and all the plans we have for our county and, how to truly groom good candidates to run for office. Jill says, where do you live? I live in a Chicago suburb. So I'm in a western suburb. I'm actually in the town next to Kathleen Zellner's office. So I can see if I go 1, 2, 3 blocks, I can see her because she's in a big, tall building. I'm not in Chicago. I'm in a suburb, but still her big, tall building. I can see it. I can see Russia from my house. And I have on occasion that will be in here too on videos. And, so if you click on the left side on our videos and our photos, I've done things where I've gone to Kathleen's office, taken the elevator up, gone to it, taken pictures of it. So been a weird, crazy person. But I've done that for you guys and I didn't get charged with trespassing for it. Julie says, When is your trespassing ticket shit supposed to be? It's coming up soon, isn't it? Yeah, it's next week. So I'll update y'all after that happens, Julie. Oh, Jill, you're in St. Louis. So yeah, you're probably closer to the prisons that I visit, because Melissa and Kent, when I visit them, they're down near the Springfield area. So it takes me about 2 hours and 15 minutes to get to Melissa's prison. And then Kent's prison in Taylorville is another hour south of Melissa's prison. So yeah, I think St. Louis is closer to those. And we've got Wisconsin and Australia and Ireland. Beautiful flowers behind you. Well, thank you. Those are from Jeff. We had our anniversary recently, and he surprised me with some flowers, and they're still doing well. Jill asks, have you met her? Have I met Kathleen? I have seen her in person in passing at Brendan's hearing at the Seventh Circuit. That just her walking down the street with Doug. No interaction. Then when I went to Melissa Kaluzinski's hearing, do I have one sitting here? I made Melissa wristbands. I don't have one right here. What do I have here? Oh my God. That's a cheesy one. Okay. So I had free Melissa. Melissa's Army, or Justice for Melissa, Melissa's Army, I believe is what they say. Wristbands. And so while we were waiting till we were allowed in the courtroom. And so I was sitting with Paul, and Paul is Melissa's dad, and Cheryl is her mom, and her sister Crystal. Crystal also worked at the daycare that Melissa did, so she knows a lot about the case because she was there, and she was also questioned by police for hours and hours. So we were sitting in one side of the lobby waiting until we were allowed into the courtroom, and then Kathleen was on the other side, and she was surrounded by a bunch of law clerks or law students or whatever they were, a bunch of young people who were there. And so I went up to her and asked her if she would like one of the Melissa wristbands. And so she took one, and she actually wore it while she was speaking on Melissa's case. You can find that on Melissa's Facebook page too, because the first time ever in Illinois history, they let that be recorded, that hearing. So you'll be able to see that whole thing. And I've never watched it, so I don't know if you can see that she's wearing the wristband on there. And then I was sitting right behind Doug in that hearing, because we were given the seats were marked with our names on it. So I was seated with the Kaluzinski family, so we were right behind Kathleen and Doug. So that's my only personal in-person interaction with her. And then she and I have emailed on a couple different things, but she don't give a shit about me. I'm not trying to breed, because I know that's something Carla has tried to say in the past, that I try to act like I'm really close with Kathleen. No, I'm not. She doesn't care about me. I'm insignificant, so. Heidi says, did I see the previews for 60 Days next week? Yeah, the reunion show. That's going to be good. 60 Days is on, what channel is that on? Is that on AMC? So, because it's a current show. Yeah, is that AMC? What is Melissa's last name? Kaluzinski. Kaluzinski. Usinski. The inmates at her prison, as well as the correctional officers, they all call her Ski. That's her nickname there. Cal Usinski. Paula says, watching from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Did you read the article on Making a Murderer about Nyrider questioning Drizzt and Buting? Just wondering if it's true or not regarding Brendan. What was she questioning? Or was it an interview thing that she was just interviewing them? Because I know they're on tour together. So, does Kathleen have bodyguards? I didn't see any, but isn't she like a black belt or something? I think she, I think people need to be afraid of her. But I do know A&E. There you go. It's A&E. Thank you, Heidi. But she does have a security detail, I'm sure. And it's probably, they're so good that we don't even know they're there. And there's people saying A&E. So, all right. I think I'm going to call an end to this then, so I can get some miscellaneous other stuff done before I have to leave for this meeting. It is 3:11 p.m. here right now, so that would be still technically 45 minutes that maybe Kathleen would file. Let me check my email to see if anything was sent to me about a filing. Nope. Nothing new there. So if a filing comes in the next hour, I won't be able to go live immediately because I have that other meeting I have to go to. But I should be, I would think I'm going to be home by like 7 p.m. or whatever. So I could hop live later tonight if it was filed. If not, it should be filed on Monday, and we'll go live on Monday as soon as it comes in. And if you get it before we post it, please send it our way. Share the love. So, all right, I'm out. And if I don't talk to you tonight, have a good weekend, and we will check back in on Monday. See ya.